Good morning, everyone. Nikki here from Cluckin, and welcome to the third video of our goat series. For this video, we decided that we wanted to discuss goat basics with y'all. And this is just how we take care of our animals. So it's going to be things like how we feed, the shelter that we offer them currently, the meds, the supplements, the vaccines, and just everything that we do with them, including the maintenance that we do with ours. I am in no way an expert when it comes to goats. I have raised goats off and on for the last 18 years, but this is just what we have found that works for us. And it's ever changing when you raise goats. So we're actually going to start talking about feeding. Feeding in the goat world can be kind of controversial. You have those ones that strictly will not feed any kind of grain. And then you have the ones that either feed just a little or overfeed. It kind of just depends on you as a breeder or even someone that is raising your goats, what you want to feed. I've always been a strong advocate for giving grain, but that may not work for y'all. You can feed strictly hay. So what we like to feed our goats is just basically is a 17% textured goat feed. We get it from our local co-op. We also like to feed a dehydrated alfalfa pellet and black hole sunflower seeds. And depending on where they are in their either lactation or pregnancy or being dry or the one of our bucks, depends on how much we actually will feed. So like with our does that I milk, they get all that they can eat on the stand. I like to feed them that way, making sure that they have adequate enough for keeping their weight on as well as their production. And then depending on where they're at in their pregnancy is how much we get. We usually don't start really up in their feed until the last trimester. And then our smaller does or our dry does don't get as much, and then of course our buck doesn't get as much as the others. So this is what our feed looks like. You can see the textured feed that's in there. There is oats and corn, and then our alfalfa pellets, as well as the black hole sunflower seeds. So the mixture that I like to follow for our goats is 3 parts of the textured goat feed, this one here, 1 part of alfalfa, and 1 to 2 parts of the black hole sunflower seeds. And this is usually the scoop that I use. I mean, you can use just about anything you want. This is a 3-pound kind of sheet tub. So it works really well. Not very, technical at that point. So something else that we make sure that our goats have at all times is access to fresh hay. And depending on where you live and what you can find, and also what you could afford, depends on what you feed them. We like to feed a really good orchard grass hay that has all kinds of different grasses. It has a little friskew mixed in with it. Sometimes you can even find it with clover, alfalfa, and timothy. If you choose not to feed grain, alfalfa would be your best bet in hay to feed your goats. But because we do feed grain, we don't offer the hay that has the most protein in it, which would go with the orchard grass. I'll give you an idea of what ours looks like. You can see a little alfalfa, and it doesn't have much in it. Like this one has a little bit of clover right there. But our goats really love this. We go through averagely about a bale a week with our 5 goats. And of course you want to make sure that your goats have access to fresh water at all times. Depending on the season, we will either change it a couple times a day or every few days. During the summer months, we just make sure that it is topped off with cooler water. And then during the winter time, we will haul out warm water to the goats, depending on the temperature. If it is below freezing and the water is freezing often, then we will make sure that they have access to fresh warm water at all times. So something I forgot to mention that we like to add is also apple cider vinegar, particularly with the mother. We add this to their water a couple times a week, and it just helps improve their digestion as well. When it comes to shelter for goats, goats usually are not that picky. A good 3-sided shelter is usually all that they need. That making sure that it is draft free, that it is dry, is usually the best thing. We like to allow ours to face south by southwest just to make sure that they're not going to have the cold winter winds blowing into their house. And then also something else, depending on the time of the year, making sure that they have adequate bedding for their housing. That could be straw, it could be leftover hay. There is pelleted bedding that you can add. Sawdust is another method. As you can see, our shelters are not that elaborate. This used to be an old pallet kind of shelter that we had gotten from someone else that we just modified for the girls. And the part that's around here where the metal is actually a pallet on either side with another one leaning that we have covered. And both of them we have stuck straw in for them. And the reason that you want the straw or bedding is it keeps the moisture from wicking up and causing the goats to become cold. Something else that you need to definitely consider is good fencing. As I've said before, we like to use these calf kind of hog panels. They're about 50 inches tall, and they are supported with T-posts. And so it makes it a lot harder for the goats to be able to get out. The part of having goats sometimes is nutrition and medicines and supplements and even vaccines. So we offer a free choice minerals for our goats. This is the brand that we like to use. We just get it at Tractor Supply. So it just basically fills in the gaps of where they might be missing something, either with their feed or the hay or something that we're not able to provide. This just fills in the gaps. Another supplement that we like to offer is calf manna. This is usually for when they are pregnant, they are nursing, or in their lactation, or if they just happen to be sick, because this provides a good amount of protein, also is a good source of carbs, and it helps improve their digestion too, especially if they're not eating very well. One of the things that we offer for maintenance in our goats is selenium. Selenium is definitely one of those must when it comes with goats, because if they have a deficiency in it, it can cause a lot of harm. So some of the deficiencies that you might see with selenium is that they have poor growth. The babies may not be able to suck and to properly nurse, and they can actually aspirate it as well. You'll see poor conception rates, miscarriages, stillbirths, weak kids at birth. You could even see curved tails. And then of course a couple of the things that you will definitely see is that they could be walking on their hocks, or after a doe has given birth that they will retain the placenta instead of expelling it like they should. Now the one that we like to use is this one here. It is a selenium with vitamin E gel. There is also a shot that you can give, but we just find that this one is better because we give this one actually monthly to our goats. Another must for goats is copper. If you have a copper deficiency in your herd, you're going to see things such as bleaching on the back end. Also see where they won't shed their winter coats. They will have rough fur. Their coats will, it just feels off. Like goat fur is supposed to be soft, but you will definitely tell that there is something off about the coat when you mess with it and you run your fingers through it and all. You will see fishtailing. You will also see severe fertility problems with goats. So the one that we like to use is this one here, the Ultra Cruise. This one is actually for kids, but because we offer it so often to our goats, we give it about every 3 to 4 months, it just helps maintain it. And here's the size of the pill for it. Fairly small. We like to stick it in a banana and feed it to them that way. And then something else that we offer our goats is kelp. Now you can offer kelp in a liquid or even a powder. A lot of people will serve it like as a mineral buffet, the kelp in a separate container. I actually prefer the liquid. This one here is a concentrated one that I get off of Amazon, and I just give about a few drops in the water over a few days. Kelp deficiencies are not really common, so you really wouldn't see much of a deficiency in it, but it definitely helps boost growth in the goats, especially in the kids, and it also boosts their immune system too. And kelp is a great source of iodine, and when you do have a deficiency, the goats will have goiter, which I mean their throats will be excessively enlarged, especially newborn babies. And then another couple that we keep on hand that we necessarily don't give every month is, one of them is this one here, the CMPK. It's a drench. It is calcium. This is basically just liquid calcium, and it's mostly used for freshening so that you can give it as a boost to a new doe that has just had her babies. We also like to give it like the last 6 weeks because sometimes they will suffer from a calcium deficiency during their last trimester, and that works really, really well for them. And then something we keep on hand for the babies is a colostrum gel, and it just kind of helps boost their rumen when they're first born. As for medicines that we keep on the homestead, one of our number ones that we keep on hand is penicillin. I know right now it is hard to find. We actually got this one at the Tractor Supply, and we don't give it unless it's absolutely necessary. And then one of the others that we have is called Bovie Serena. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This one is really good for pneumonia, and goats are one of those animals that is very susceptible to getting pneumonia during the cooler months. So we also like to keep on hand a vitamin B complex. This is the brand that we use. I think I got this off of Amazon. The vitamin B complex. So vitamin B basically just jumpstarts their stomach. So if they stop eating or they are not eating very much, you could give them a shot of this. They also have gels, which we have tried in the past, but I actually like the injectable of this one. It goes into their system pretty quickly, and it just helps, like I said, to jumpstart their gut. And then just another good one to keep on hand is some type of pain medicine. We use meloxicam. It works really good. This one happens to be just a pill that we have that we will crush it up and either add it to some liquid, we add molasses to it. It just depends on what is going on with the goat at that particular time, just to get that down now. They do have an injectable of it, but I find that the pills just last longer. All right, so with vaccinations, the only one that I truly feel that y'all need, and this is my opinion, is the CD&T. So the CD&T is actually called Clostridium perfringens type C and D with tetanus. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. This is the one that we buy. It is used to treat tetanus and enterotoxemia. So enterotoxemia is a bacterial infection. Sometimes it's called kidney disease, sometimes it's called overeating disease. And the majority that it affects is young kids. If you decide to use the CD&T, there is a schedule you kind of need to follow. So it is best to give to a pregnant doe about 30 days or less within that time frame of her delivering. And then you'll give it to the babies when they're anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks old, and then another 3 weeks after that. We like to give it about the time that we are disbudding, and then 3 weeks later they will get another booster of it. And then after that, it is about every 12 months. With our bucks, we like to give it about their birthday. Helps us remember. And then with our does, they get it regular anyway when we're breeding. And so it's just a matter of keeping records to know when we have given it to them last. So you can also give it extra if need be. Say they hurt themselves, they have been jabbed with something that could cause tetanus. You can also give them a booster during that time frame. So besides all of the other medicines that we do, we also like to do a lot of herbal stuff here on the homestead. Colloidal silver is one that I like to keep on hand, as well as grapefruit seed extract. Both of these are really, really good as antibiotics for mild infections, anything that we really don't want to have to use penicillin for. We try to keep our uses of penicillin down very low. We also use a lot of tinctures. One of my favorite ones is the cayenne pepper one. This one right here, it's good for circulation. It's good for warming a cold goat. You could rub it on their gums and it helps just give them a really good boost. We do lots of herbs, echinacea, nettle, and over time I will talk more and more about each one of those that we use with our goats and why we use them. So that's pretty much what we use as far as the supplements, minerals, extras that we give our goats to help them stay healthy. So as part of our maintenance for our goats, we deworm them, and we actually deworm ours weekly because we use an herbal dewormer. So this is what we use. So it's the Land of Havilah parasite formula. And I will mix this with some diatomaceous earth, some bentonite detox, some molasses, some oregano oil, and usually I will use some orange essential oil. I'm just happen to be out of it at this time. So with this one, it is actually based on weight of your goats. I usually like to use 1 tablespoon for mine. And then whatever amount of that, of the diatomaceous earth, I will use the same amount. So I will use 1 tablespoon of it. Then it's roughly about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of this, just depending on how much I feel that the goats need to be detoxed. Then with the oregano oil, because this is one I actually make by steeping olive oil with oregano, I'll only use probably about 6 drops. And this, so the oregano oil with the orange essential oil actually works really well for the barber pole worms. And then of course we have our lovely molasses. And I put roughly about a tablespoon. It just kind of helps encourage them to eat it. And then just a little water to help make it very pliable, where it'll go through the syringe that I use. Doesn't that look yummy? So this is what I use for giving them their dewormer. The numbers on the side. So I usually give about to the 10 cc's mark of each goat. Just fill it up. And it is good to go. So now the real fun begins. Giving them their dewormer and their selenium and all the maintenance stuff that we do with them. Now some of our goats are pretty good about taking the medicine and some not so much, you'll see. So part of what we do before giving the dewormer is that we have to check their formaggio. So as I had said before, that you actually have to pull the eyelid down to check. As you pull it down, you can kind of tell the color a little bit. So she's going to cooperate. See, hers is a little bit on the lighter side, which means that she definitely needs to be dewormed now. So here's the mixture that we mixed up. She's really good about taking hers. She's one of our better ones about it. And then also while I have her on the stand, I'm going to go ahead and give her her selenium. She is one of our best does about taking her medicine. So she actually tries to eat the whole tube. And then some of the other stuff that we will go on to do is trim hooves and just do an overall health check of her. As you can see, some of ours do not like taking their dewormer. Even though it's not that bad, they just do not like taking it all. The dewormer that we give, because it's an herbal dewormer, is actually safe for even pregnant does. Now, I don't give a lot of the stuff during their first trimester. I do not want to stress them out. We usually wait till the second trimester to start really introducing the dewormer, the selenium, and everything else that we give them. We wait till that point in time. So I am not opposed to using chemical dewormers. I feel that they are as needed basis. So when it comes to that something needs to be done, like the goat has a overabundance of worms, I will use that. But as a good maintenance still, we like to use the herbal dewormers. Something else that we do for our goats is we do what they call a fecal. So that you will collect samples of their poop, you will send it into the vet, or you could send it to a lab, and they will check and see what kind of worm load that they have. We try to do that quarterly with ours, especially with our does. Now we'll finish up with most of these girls doing their hooves. It's time for the hoof trimming. We do that every month. And then it's time for Jewel here and Tilly to get their copper. And I will show y'all how we do that. So when giving the copper boluses, there's a couple things that you can do. You can use a bolus gun like this one. And you just put it in the end and basically just shoot it down their throat. That's kind of traumatizing for the goats, I think, honestly. The method that we like to use is the banana method. So simply we just take a banana slice and the bolus And then just push it in there. And some of the goats will take this easier, some not so much. So sometimes we like to give them banana slices just to get them excited about the thought. She is our easiest though on taking things, especially her copper. It is in there, and so I like to give it to them. And then you have to hold their head up just a little bit to make sure that they're not going to spit the capsule out. Because sometimes they will. She has done that in the past, but I just like to make sure that she won't, by kind of holding her head up just a little bit to make sure that she has swallowed it. And so that's just all it is, you know, with giving the copper. You just got to make sure that they have it on a regular basis, whether you give a higher amount or a lower amount. Just making sure that your goats have it on a regular basis is something that's going to keep them healthy and looking good and producing really well for you. And when you're raising goats, everybody does it differently. So there's no one way to do everything. Just as long as your goats are fed and healthy, that's all that matters. Well, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope y'all learned something and that you really get a kick out of watching these videos and enjoy seeing our animals. Have a good day, and I can't wait to see y'all again. Bye.